born in Puerto Rico. He's an American. Born there, naturalized American.
Look at her face.
He is the most
She's
successful artist in the world. He's the most streamed artist globally on Spotify for 4 consecutive years. Nearly 20 billion downloads in 2025 alone. He has sold 123 million equivalent album sales. He's won Grammys. He's won everything.
This is hilarious because this is a straw man argument. I'm just hopping in with you guys right here because I saw their faces. I saw a clip on here with Megyn Kelly's response, and I want to hear Piers. And I saw Piers's comment on X defending Bad Bunny, and I thought it was facetious. I thought he was cracking a joke, but he's 100% serious. He's 100% serious running cover for this guy. I don't know why. And then I heard Megyn Kelly's response in this exchange, and I thought it's worth listening to. But I just want to say, this right here is a fallacious argument. It does not matter how famous someone is. It matters what they represent. It matters what it is that comes out of their mouth that they say that they're about. If you're an artist, any kind of art, what is your goal? The goal of an artist is to share their internal ideas with the world and to connect those ideas with people. Whether that's photography, whether that's painting, whether that's music, whether that's dance, whether that's song. You're trying to convey a message to an audience and connect the message. And that message comes from a belief. And that belief comes from a belief system. What you express in your art says everything about who you are. You can create a character that's not real, but the point is when you create that character and you project that character into the world, that's what you're presenting to the world. So the world is going to respond and connect to that character. That character may not be who you are, but then you're just creating an illusion. And ultimately, it doesn't really matter who you are. What matters is the character you've created and what you've put into the world and the consequences of that character. I believe that that's a lot of artists, I think a lot of artists run cover on that because they don't want to. I think what it is it's artistic cognitive dissonance. They don't want to actually have to deal with the consequences of the actions of the character that they reverberate into the world and what that creates. And they can safely say, well, this is not me. This is a character I created. I don't have any responsibility in that. But I think you're going to find your scales wanting when you meet God. God says that we are responsible for every single word out of our mouth. And trying to use that, well, this is a character argument isn't going to fly. I'm telling you. You're responsible for it. And so I think Piers, accolades, fame, downloads are irrelevant to the argument. The argument is who Bad Bunny represents, what he represents, and is that compatible with American values or is that incompatible and antithetical to American values? And I think the answer is pretty clear.
He is a fantastically successful American story, isn't he? And isn't the fact that he ends up performing at the halftime show exactly the kind of journey that America was founded on?
This is funny because as much time as Piers, and I think this is important, okay? And I like Piers, I do. But if me and him were sitting having dinner or talking, I'd be having the same conversation with him too. And I'd be like, you know what? As much as you spend time in America, you really don't understand Americans. And you don't understand America. And I think, honestly, that's the world. I think the world truly doesn't understand America like they think they do at all. I think they see the outside and they glam and they see us like working all the time. But I don't really think they understand because America, as much as people want to criticize it, it is the most unique. It's the most unique founding of a civilization in all of human history. It really is. And it's surpassed the idea of what a collective could do in pretty much every facet of measurement. And I don't think people are out there studying Americans like that. I think they just kind of take us for granted, so they don't really know. But what I think is important to understand here is that he's a Brit. And yeah, cool. Success. Cool. Started from the bottom, now you're here. Cool. But listen, if you are someone who is anti-America, like if you call yourself an American, which I don't think he does, and you place your ethnicity above your country, don't be surprised when your countrymen reject you. And just because you're really successful doesn't mean that we're going to respect you, because you've already shown no respect for us. And I think Megyn's face says it everything.
Which is a guy who comes from very little, born in America, who actually makes it to the biggest pinnacle because he is, right? I mean, look, I love Kid Rock, okay? And I actually really enjoy the Turning Point show as well. I like them both. But Kid Rock's not had a hit single in the last 11 years. This guy is right now the hottest star in the world, and he should be on the halftime show. I can't think of a compelling reason why not.
Because he's too divisive, Piers. I'm giving you the reason. Maybe because you're not an American, you don't get it.
Facts. Yes. He doesn't get it because he's not an American. And he's trying to put himself, to give him his credit, he's trying to put himself in the shoes of an American. He's like, well, isn't this what you guys, want and represent? He was poor and he got rich and he came all the way to the top and all this. And it's like, yeah, that's the good old American story. That's a good old, American dream story. And that's a great story. But that's not what the argument here. That's not what the issue here is. That's not what's at stake here. He's completely divisive. Completely divisive. Everything he stands for and represents is anti-America. So if you're anti-America because you're a leftist who believes in communism and believes that everything is founded on racism, and they're just ignorant. They're ignorant to the history. They're just ignorant people that are just they're lied to, and they believe the lies because it's too hard for them to do their own research to understand how everything came to be. And they spout the party line. And so if you're anti-America and you're an American, there's something wrong with you, in my opinion. You really haven't thought through critically who you are and what you are. And that's a self-hatred. Right? And it's like, for me as a black man in America, it's crazy to me to hear this stuff because my ancestors who were slaves fought tooth and nail to be recognized as citizens. They gave up their lives to become citizens and have a stake in this country in which their ancestors died and fought in all the wars since the founding of this country and helped build this country as slaves, then as indentured servants, essentially, and then as oppressed people, and then as freed men and women. Black Americans, have just as much investment in this country than the white settlers do. And this country means, think about how much, I just want to talk to black people for a minute. Think about how much black Americans have invested into the being and fibers of this country at scale. Okay? Why would we think that it's okay for any other group of people to come into this country with no investment, yet reap all the reward? Why? Why would we believe that it's okay for them to come into the country, have zero investment, break the law, come in illegally, don't pay your dues, right? Don't do the citizenship test, don't integrate, don't know anything about the country, don't know anything about the laws, don't speak the language, don't even try, but then come in and get the Medicaid, get the health care, get the food stamps, get the housing, get all the stuff that is for American citizens. We've invested hundreds of years, millions upon millions of brutal deaths. We've fought in every single war. We have legislated since the beginning of the country. From Frederick Douglass to Martin Luther King to Barack Hussein Obama. Think about that. We have a deep heritage in this country. And it matters. Now, when you have someone like Bad Bunny get on a stage and basically, in my opinion, metaphorically flip two birds to the camera and say, I'm not going to even speak in the language of this country. I'm going to be a representation of Latinos in this country. Not that you're just on the stage and you are Latino, but that you need to make it an overt political and racial thing, ethnic thing. The big deal about Kendrick Lamar being on the world stage was that he was a black man rapper. And that had never happened. And he was a solo act. That was a big deal. And you could make the argument that, yeah, it's not the majority of the population because the majority of the population is white, obviously. But the black community, although it's small, has every single right because of the investment. And it matters so much to get this right. It's not just about Latin, black, white. It's about America and American values. We are Americans. That's what we need to understand. We are Americans. There is a joint collectivism under the umbrella of American. Red, white, and blue. Yes, we're industrious. We work hard. We play hard. And we're successful. And we love that dream. But that success, and just because you're successful, doesn't exempt you from the values that we share. If our great, like, imagine if you took the slaves, a group of slaves, black slaves, and you brought them into 2026, and you say, look where we are now. If you took a group from the 30s and you said, look at where we are now. There's going to be a lot of crying, but there's going to be a lot of celebrating. Like, that I never lose sight of that. I never forget that. I never stop thinking about that. Because the only reason I can be in a house with my own stuff around me, not being harassed by the police every single day, is because those men and women, they laid down their life to give the future generations like myself a chance to have a better life. And I am the beneficiary of all the sacrifices that all those generations made. And somewhere along the line, we stopped doing that. We stopped caring about the future generations. And now we're just tearing down America as if it's the most evil thing in the world. And it blows my mind. And people like Piers don't understand. And they can't. They just can't. And this is why I think Megyn, God bless her heart, is about to explain it to him.
He is too divisive a figure. No one would begrudge him his personal success story. Good for him. Great. We love that here in America. Just like we love when our half-pipe freestyle skiers make it to the Olympics. Despite all odds, they overcome them. But when you go overseas wearing the American uniform and you bash America on foreign soil, when you're wearing our stars and stripes, we get very upset here in America. It's not that we don't stand for free speech or differences of opinion or love rags to riches stories.
I see the chat. Talks here, I think so too. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're saying.
We do all of those things, but there are certain things that we expect of the people who are representing us when they're overseas as Olympic athletes or when they're in the middle of the Super Bowl, which is our event. That is a heartland event that gets usually man, but lots of women too, on their feet, feeling patriotic year after year. It's one of the reasons why we love it.
You saw my book. Oh, great. Which book did you see? Which book? I got a few out there. Which ones?
And the last thing we want is someone who's a harsh partisan who we know can't stand the country. And you're wrong. He wasn't totally patriotic at that event. He ended it by saying, God bless America, and then listed all the countries in all of the Americas, which is not how we here in the United States view the USA. We actually do believe in American exceptionalism, and we believe we actually do have a higher claim to morality than some of the countries he was listing, like Mexico.
But you wouldn't want him to have his First Amendment rights infringed on his ability to criticize certain policies of a particular
Of course not.
American
No one's talking about that,
government,
but he has no right to perform at the
as
Super
an
Bowl.
American citizen? Really? That's disqualified. So
the First Amendment has nothing to do with it.
Anyone who's ever been...
The First Amendment has nothing to do with it. The First Amendment is about government censorship of speech.
Hang on. Anyone who's been critical then of the US government should not be allowed to perform at the halftime show. Is that your position?
I don't think that'd be my selection. I do think you should find somebody who is more of a unifier, and there are plenty of them. There are still millions of people out there who have very strong political opinions, but they don't voice them publicly because they realize they're in a line of work where that could be alienating to their customer base. The same is true for these performers. And if you want to be super outspoken, if you want to be a Jane Fonda, then go for it. But don't expect yourself to be placed in the middle of what's supposed to be a nonpartisan event and be a so-called unifier. We put up with this year after year after year.
Because they don't care. It's 100% right. They don't. The NFL under Roger Goodell, who is about as woke as they come, because he has to be. And I don't know if he even really believes it. He's playing the role. But 100%, like, they're going to keep doing it because that is their agenda. And they don't care about the public. They care about their agenda. And they know people are going to watch regardless. It's because it's too long and too entrenched of a tradition. However, the caveat on that, I believe, is this year. And that's because this was the first time ever in NFL history that a rival halftime show was ever created. And that's why I started this stream with the numbers, with the true numbers of the ratings of the halftime show. They lost 40% of households. Okay, 40% of the households turned off their TV for the NFL halftime show, and 10 to probably 20 million people went and watched the TPUSA. And that is a huge number, because if it was that successful this year with just those acts, and like Piers said, 11 years since Kid Rock had a hit single, which means what? Which means now advertisers are going to give money for the next year, and they're going to be able to get bigger acts, which are going to draw more views, which means that the NFL halftime show will have a rival. There'll be a rivalry. And that means that the NFL now has a incentive to get their act together, because if they keep bringing people in that are divisive, especially politically, they're going to reap the whirlwind. And the whirlwind is more and more people are going to turn off the halftime show. It's just what it is. So as far as the book goes, I appreciate you buying it, reading it. I don't really have a plan right now for the next book. I am writing, but as far as in that genre, no. My plan eventually is to get that book out to as many people as possible, and hopefully I can get it published through a publisher, and I can start making rounds online and start pushing that book. I think that book is it's something that needs to be out in the public and to get some discourse on it. And I really appreciate you reading it. But yeah, I mean, if there's a specific question you have about something I said in the book, go ahead and ask me. But the stream's not about the book.
But right now, we're in a serious battle over immigration enforcement, something the country voted for overwhelmingly. And to pick two acts who are as outspoken against that as these two and plop them in the middle of the event is a middle finger by Roger Goodell.
Bad Bunny and Lady Gaga.
It's picking a side in the most...
Oh, but he picked a side a long time ago, Megyn. Like, that's everyone knew that.
Divisive debate we're having right now in the country, and it was wrong. It was a mistake.